consult businesses as they transition to become purpose-led. But prior to that, I built the global purpose strategy for Adidas, a $22 billion company, covering everything they do to impact people and planet.
Over to you, Kathy. Certainly, in a previous life, you led the charge at Adidas on incorporating some of this thinking into Adidas's model. Can you explain a little bit what you did then?
Within Adidas, we looked at where we could have the biggest impact. And most people don't realize that the fashion industry is the second largest polluting industry in the world after oil and gas. We produce far more clothes than we need, and we discard them at an alarming rate. Globally, a dump truck full of clothing ends up in a landfill every single second. And most people don't realize that of all of the clothes that are made, 60% of the material is synthetic fibers. And synthetic fibers are a form of plastic. So one of the areas that Adidas is really focused on is ending plastic waste as part of its ESG moonshot. And this goes throughout the business. It goes into investing in new material innovation, investing in circular business models, but really looking at a systems approach of how we change our relationship with retail and our relationship with the way we produce and make clothing.
And as a result of your learnings from Adidas, you're now kind of coaching a lot of companies who are coming to you because they're also seeing the light, want to do the right thing, don't know how to. Can you give a kind of a high-level overview of what your guidance is to them, for them to go on their journey?
Yeah. So two things I think are really important. One is identifying a purpose for your company. This is your reason for existing. It's what you do to contribute to the world. And at any point in a company's journey, you can identify a purpose. And then I see environmental social governance as a framework to bring purpose to life holistically across an organization with accountability, controls, and metrics. So using your purpose as a North Star of what are the areas within ESG, because it can include a lot of things, what are the areas that we should focus on? And within our industry, what are the most material areas that we can make a difference that we need to start with right away?
Excellent. I'm going to come back to purpose. It's a very powerful point, and I know Paul's got a lot to say on purpose. Good time to kind of switch a little bit to kind of the business case for actually acting. And do you want to talk a little bit about, as you engage with companies, how do you actually persuade them to make the move and do good for the perspective of actually doing well?
I would say, well, most companies who bring me in are already convinced and they just want to know how to start. But I think for people who are on the fence, there's a lot of things you can look at that make a lot of sense that they aren't working right now. I'll list a few. One, I love the saying that growth for the sake of growth is the ideology of a cancer cell. And I think it's really eye-opening to see that the way most businesses operate is like a cancer cell. That isn't sustainable. And if it continues growing, it will ruin the host that's there. And it's the same way with the way we're approaching business nowadays. I think another thing is looking at employee engagement is horrendous across the globe. The way that we've created our companies for people to show up, it's almost asked people to show up as robots. I think this might be left over from the Industrial Revolution, where people went in and they performed a specific part. But now we're in the knowledge age, and what we need from humans is not to do a very rote function, but to come in with their creativity and their imagination to help solve these problems that we're going to need everyone thinking about to figure out how to solve. And I think when you have a purpose beyond profit in a company, you tap into intrinsic motivation of your workforce. They show up in a different way. You tap into emotion. If it's a dream of a better world, they want to be part of. And so not only are there business benefits, we can't keep operating the way we've operated on the world, but there's also the human benefit of who you're working with and the culture that you're creating.
And so what are your observations or advice to these companies?
My advice would be to every individual. we all are responsible for the planet. And I think a lot of times it's easy to give up accountability to government or to a business to fix something. But each of us has a voice. Each of us has a voice that has power. And we can take accountability for who we choose to work for how we use our voice in the halls if we see change that needs to happen. We When we buy products, it's a ripple into the future, the companies that we're supporting and investing in through our purchases. So I think everyone taking accountability and realizing it'd be really nice when we're on our deathbeds to look back and say, you know what? The world is a better place because we existed.